Hello and welcome all of my fellow Paragon fans. My name is Oborrok and today I will be discussing Predecessor and my experience with this most recent PC playtest that took place on April 1st through the 3rd. Throughout the weekend, I got to play Predecessor for about 27 hours, and I wanted to break down my thoughts of the playtest experience as a whole. First off, I want to say that Predecessor felt amazing. It felt and ran buttery smooth. The animations were insanely clean. The audio was incredibly satisfying. I typically averaged anywhere between 75 and 110 FPS with everything on ultra settings. And I didn't run into really any stutters, hitches, lags, or frame drops throughout my time of playing it. The few things I do want to note are levers, or intentional sabotaging, 5 stacks and MMR, no auto lock-in, and Q dodging bans, and the normal MOBA experience. Now, before I get into any of that, I do want to say how glad I am that I actually got to play unlike the last PC playtest. Over 9 months ago, Ometa Studios held a playtest that was intended to stress the servers, and they found their limit rather quickly. If I'm not mistaken, the last playtest was planned for 5 days, but didn't even make it past the first day. Whereas this playtest lasted all throughout the entire weekend they had it planned for. With a 24-hour peak of 6,075 players and an all-time high of 6,977 players on the Steam charts, not once did I experience or hear about a server crash. So congratulations to Ometa Studios for a very successful server stress test / playtest weekend this time around. Now that I've addressed the fact that the servers were 1,000 times better than the last playtest, let's talk about no auto lock-in and Q dodging bans. One of the biggest things I ran into all weekend was the lobby being dodged because someone on my team or the enemy team didn't know they had to press the lock-in button after selecting their character. I originally thought people were doing the,
"Oh no, I didn't get to play Gideon mid. I'm just gonna dodge the whole lobby and make all these other 9 players have to re-queue."
Which, don't get me wrong, that happens a lot in MOBAs, and I did deal with that quite a bit over the weekend. But mainly, if a lobby was disbanded, it was because someone didn't lock in, which then resulted in them getting a 3-minute ban. The reason I know this is because I actually was looking at my phone for one of the matches and didn't lock in. So yes, I experienced a 3-minute ban because of it. Now, I'm not sure if the bans scaled up past 3 minutes if you continue to dodge queues intentionally or unintentionally, but still, I thought, really, Ometa? This is a playtest weekend and you don't implement an auto lock-in, which is pretty standard in MOBAs after you select your character, but you do implement a ban system. Again, in a playtest weekend. I thought that was a bit strange and not incredibly necessary. But then again, considering that this is a MOBA and people do intentionally disband lobbies because they didn't get the character they wanted, it does make sense. If you're going to make 9 other players have to re-queue because you didn't get the character you want, or whatever the reason was, you should get a ban. Now, obviously, it shouldn't be a 2-day ban. If it's the first, second, third, or maybe even 8th time someone has done it, but you most definitely should get some kind of penalty for it, which is why I understand why they added that mechanic for the playtest weekend. Now, this actually makes a perfect segue into my next point: levers and intentionally sabotaging. Now, right before I get into this, I will say, Paragon back in the day looked really cool, which I would imagine made a lot of newcomers to MOBAs want to check it out just because it looked really cool and it had awesome abilities and characters, but they didn't really know what MOBAs were. So then they would unintentionally sabotage the game in some way, and that instance still applied here in Predecessor. The game looks really cool, and after coming off of like 5 years of battle royales, people think this game looks badass and decide to hop in with zero clue of what a MOBA is, what it stands for, or how to play one. But also, we all start somewhere, so I can't fault any new players for that. Especially considering when I first played Paragon, I selected Chimera and thought I could walk through walls. Yeah, I thought I could walk through walls after using his ambush ability, just because there was one wall on the monolith map that was bugged. Yeah, that happened. But moving on to the actual levers and sabotaging. I can count at least 10 games I played over the weekend where someone didn't get the character they wanted, so either right at the beginning of the match or a few minutes in, they would straight up leave and make the game incredibly unfair because now my team is in a 4v5 situation, and in MOBAs, you need all hands on deck to succeed 90% of the time. But if these players weren't leaving immediately or a few minutes into the match, they were sabotaging the game. And what I mean by that is, well, leaving a lane completely empty because they wanted to go to another lane and stay there all game, or 3/4 of the game, or because I selected jungle first, but then little Timmy wanted to jungle after me. He then decided to come into the jungle while I tried to farm and would steal my creeps either during me farming or when I went to gank a lane, and a few other scenarios as well. That entire aspect of my experience with Predecessor last weekend was not fun, but again, sadly, that happens in any MOBA ever. So moving on. Next up, we have 5 stacks and MMR. MMR, or matchmaking rating, is your individual ranking based off of wins, losses, kills, and whatnot. But I thought surely this wouldn't be in a play test. Well, I think it was, to a point. But it wasn't? Let me explain. Predecessor has been hyped up for over a year now, so of course plenty of streamers and content creators like myself are going to play it, and better yet, they're going to play it together. So of course, if you're playing solo queue like I was, meaning you are the only person on your team in a party and your other 4 members are complete randoms, you have 0 communications with, and you get faced against a 3 or 4 or 5 stack of veteran Paragon and or just in general MOBA players that have communications within Discord, you're going to get absolutely rolled. The reason for this is because they have communications within literal seconds in a voice call and can group up and take objectives together, rotate to other parts of the map and catch the other team off guard, and other scenarios like that. Then you have me trying to type to my other 4 random teammates that are off in their own worlds, probably new players, or think they know it all and not wanting to listen, and then we just get stomped over and over and over and over again. This happened countless times throughout my experience of the playtest weekend. I was normally solo queuing, but if I did have a team in Discord, it was me and 1 other player, or myself and 2 other players. I only got to 5 stack for about 3 games during the playtest, and still, even then, we got rolled. Now, if you're still with me, number 1, thank you. And number 2, you know that matches of MOBA games can last a lifetime, it seems like. Anywhere between 28 minutes and 60 minutes or more, depending on how big the map is. Which then makes it so much worse if you're on a 20-game loss streak, thinking, man, I just spent the last 6 hours or more losing, and that never feels good. But again, that's kind of just how MOBAs work. That's kind of just how gaming works. Lost streaks suck, and they happen more often than not, which pretty much brings me to my last point. MOBAs are hard, very, very hard games to get into. And if you want to play them, I strongly suggest playing with a full team or as many party members as possible. But I also strongly suggest before getting into a MOBA, research how to play one and look into all the details. That way you have the most positive experience possible. So then that begs the question, what is my genuine opinion of Predecessor? I like it, and I believe that it is a wonderful MOBA. I appreciate everyone at Omeda Studios for their hard work and drive to create a wonderful game that brings back nostalgia for myself and thousands of other OG Paragon players, and even create new love and passion for Paragon players that are just now experiencing it. Thank you, Omeda Studios. Thank you. You guys did an excellent job at letting Paragon live again. I'm very eager to see the future of this game and where it goes with early access, eventually full launch, and even cross-play. gameplay. That's pretty much all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a like on the video. And if you like Predecessor content, please also hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you get notified each time I post a new video. And please be sure to let me know how your Predecessor playtest weekend went if you did in fact play last weekend. If you guys would like to see some of my other Predecessor content and or Paragon content in general, I'll leave up my last Predecessor video and an Overprime opinions video on the screen now. Take care, my fellow Paragon fans. I'll see you in the next one.